We're going to be looking at the law of sines today. And before we get too far into that, there is one quick reminder. Sorry. We're going to use the law of sines to solve triangles that are not right triangles. So triangles that have no right angles. By solve a triangle, what that means is you're going to find the length of all of the sides and you're going to find the measure of all of the angles. A quick reminder here, the sum the sum of the angles in a triangle always add to 180 degrees. So that's some important information there. If they give me two of the angles, or if I know two of the angles, then I can always find the third one using this information there. They also tell me on this one that all of my angles are going to be measured in degrees. So when I'm using a calculator for this, I need to make sure it's in degree mode. And it also tells me that we're going to be approximating all of our values that have to be approximated to 3 decimal places. So that means after the decimal place, you need to have 3 digits and it needs to be rounded correctly. Particularly because the Google form will not score it right if you don't have it that way. So here is our law of sines. The law of sines lets you know that there is a relationship between the side of a triangle and the sine of the associated angle. The ratio of the side to the sine of the associated angle is equal on all 3 sides of the triangle. So with this law of sines, when you use it, you actually don't use all 3 pieces of it together. So we would only be using 2 parts of it at once. So I would maybe lop off that part and just say, okay, we'll say side A over sine of angle A is equal to side B over sine of angle B. All right, so let's see how this works here. For our first case here, we're going to be doing what's called angle side. That means we're given 2 angles and 1 side, and that side that we're given is not between the 2 angles. So I'm going to draw a triangle. Wow, I didn't know I was going to put angle measures in there, but that's kind of cool. Let's see if we can get 2 of them to be pretty close to what it says they're supposed to be. Let's see, that one's supposed to be 102.8, 0.3. I don't think I'm going to get it just right. Anyway, they didn't label them, so that's good. All right, so I'm going to call this, oops. Of course. I think I'm going to learn to edit today. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a triangle here. This is a scalene triangle, so the 3 sides are not equal. I'm going to label, let's see, angle A is 102. So I'm going to call this one angle A. Angle B is supposed to be 28.7 degrees. So maybe this one over here would be B. And this one will be C then. They did not tell me what C is, so that's going to be one of the ones that I have to find. The side of the triangle that's across from angle A is going to be little a. The side of the triangle across from angle B is little b, and across from angle C is little c. Now I'll go through and put in some numbers for the ones that I know. So this angle over here is 102.3 degrees. And angle B over here is 28.7 degrees. And side B over here is 27.4 feet. Okay, so first things first on this one, I know 2 of the 3 angles of the triangle. So I can use the fact that the sum of the 3 angles is equal to 180 degrees in order to find the measure of angle C. So I'm going to do that first. So that would be taking 180 degrees and subtracting the sum of the 2 angles that I know. I could just take 180 degrees and subtract each of those as well. That would be equivalent, and you can see that algebraically it works out. So I'm going to do that in my calculator, and when I do that, I get that angle C is 49 degrees. So that's one of my answers. I want to make sure I hold on to that. For this one, I have one angle and two sides that I need to find. So I've got the one angle, so now I just need the two sides. Let me switch colors again here. And so I'm going to decide which side I want to find next. In order to use law of sines, I have to have one angle and one side that are associated, because in the ratios, you have to have a B and a B, or an A and an A. In this one, we've got B and B. So I'm going to start with that. So it would say side B, so 27.4, divided by sine of the angle B, so that would be sine of 28.7 degrees. And then that's going to be equal to, and then I'll pick whichever side I want to find. I need to know the angle that goes along with that side in order to do that. Now, I know both of my angles. I know angle A and angle C, so I can pick. I'm just going to do side A this time. So I'm going to put little a there. And so on the bottom, I would have 102.3 degrees. Okay, now to solve this, to get a by itself, I would just need to multiply both sides by what the a is being divided by. So I'm just multiplying by sine of 102.3 degrees on both sides. All right, so I have to put this in my calculator. I'm going to write down an exact answer real quick, though. So on the right side of this thing, the sine of 102.3 being multiplied and divided would cancel out. On the left side, I would just be multiplying that sine of 102.3 times the numerator. So making it as pretty as possible, I would say 27.4 times sine of 102.3. Oh, lag in the pen. That always makes the numbers look nice. Let me try that again. (102.3 degrees). And then on the bottom, we have sine of 28.7 degrees. Okay, so this would be an exact answer. I'm also going to get an approximation by putting it in my calculator. Typing these things in the calculator is it's pretty easy on our Inspire calculator. So if you downloaded the software, you won't have any trouble with this. If you're using a scientific calculator like on your phone, the way you type in sine of 102.3 is you'd have to type in 102.3 first and then click sine, and it would evaluate the sine of 102.3. Your calculator also needs to be in degree mode. I wanted to show this to you, but I couldn't get my screen recorder to work right. So anyhow, I'm going to type all this in my calculator, and the answer you should get is 55.747, rounded to 3 decimal places. That is a side length on this, so that is going to be measured in feet because they told me that the one side I knew was also measured in feet. Now you should pause the video at this point and actually try typing this into whatever calculator you're going to be using to make sure you're getting the correct answer. If you're not, then try to figure out what's wrong with it. And if you can't figure out what's wrong with it, then of course you need to ask a question. You could start with email if you want to know right away, or you could come see me in Zoom this afternoon. Okay, now for the last side, we've got 2 of our 3 answers. For our last side, we need side C. So again, I'm going to use law of sines. I think I'm going to use this space up over here because that's all I have left. Again, I have to start with the side length and the angle that I know that are related. I don't want to use my approximated value that we just found because that would skew my answers. So I'm going to start with this. And then this time I'm going for side C. And so I would need sine of angle C, which is what I found in pink over there on the left. So sine of 49 degrees. And then once more, to solve this, I would just need to get C alone. I would just need to multiply both sides by sine of 49. So this time I'm not going to show that extra step there. I'm just going to do it. And I'd still have sine of 28.7 on the bottom. Okay, so this would be an exact answer. And then I would need to put that in the calculator. And when I put that in my calculator, I would get 43.061, again, feet. So this would be my last answer on this one. One thing that you can do also, because you're going to be relying on your calculator to come up with these answers for you, and it's a lot of typing, and you may be using a calculator you're not very familiar with. So one thing you should definitely do at the very end is go back and make sure that your answers make sense. Now there's a relationship that's kind of implied on this law of sines. On a triangle, the angle and its associated side do have a relationship. The larger the angle, the longer the side. So on this one, since 102.3 is the largest angle on this triangle, side A should be the longest side. So if I go down and look, it tells me that side A is 55.747 feet. Side C is 43.061, which is smaller. And side B was 27.4, which is smaller also. So that one makes sense. The smallest angle on this one is this one over here, 28.7. So that means side B should be the shortest side. And since 28.7 is so much smaller than 102.3, it should be considerably smaller than the largest side. And it is. So that's a good way to check yourself and just make sure that your fingers didn't fumble something when you were typing in the calculator. Okay, try the next one on the Google form.